We took away the seats in the back row, but some of you have found them again. Trying to draw people forward. Hi to everyone on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, you're missing out on bagels and a full room. I know the bagels on the front seats to go forward. So, okay, let's jump right in and talk about what's going on this week. Tomorrow, Dwight is leading the scripts and objection handling at 9 a.m. in the front room, casual. There's no sign up, no official agenda, just talking about scripts and objections, right?
Well, there is sort of one right now where we've been talking about presenting. Well, we spent some meetings on the listing and then the CMA. And so I'm really probably going to stay on that as long as I can, make sure that anyone that comes gets their questions answered about objection handling when you set the price and whatnot. So,
yeah. So no sign up for that, but just go ahead and go to that and bounce any objections and things you want to work on. Dwight. Okay, I would like you to know I did not vote in favor of this name. We were talking about we were calling this the new agent happy hour, but we were like, that's not a good name because it's not just for new agents, it's for newer faces here to meet all the other faces of our agents. So what did I vote for? What did I vote for?
All the men voted for SIP Happens.
I was outvoted. So we ended up with SIP Happens, the agent happy hour. It's tomorrow, casual, 4 to 6, planned by Julie and Felicity of our culture committee. Felicity, do you want to add anything else? Just show up.
It's not even like an opinion. It's like, yeah, super casual.
Okay, Stickman's Brewing, just really close to here. And if you are a newer face here, definitely go to just meet some more familiar faces. We got a lot of feedback, especially after family reunion, that it was one of the best parts was just getting to know everyone in a more casual setting. And so that's why we're kind of trying to incorporate more of that into what we do. Okay, then on Thursday, we have the KW Wealth live stream. This is the 3rd part in the 8-part series, but if you didn't go to the first 2, you can still show up. We will have booklets printed. And again, this is all about your personal wealth. And last time we talked about your savings plan and increasing your savings percentage. This time it's about debt, I believe, right, Kev? Do you want to add anything else?
Please come.
Prizes.
We give out prizes. We have an awesome conversation at the end. And Dwight will teach you how to get rich afterwards.
Yes, if you want to be wealthy.
Only if you want to be.
Only if you want to.
We are having a career night led by Tim on Thursday. So if you know anyone who's thinking about getting into real estate, just curious about it, or has their license somewhere else and just wants to kind of find out more information, feel free to invite them to that. And we can share the graphic with you too. Or reach out to Tim directly if you have any questions on that, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And it's here 6 to 7 Thursday night. Send anyone you know. And then next week's CE class, just looking ahead, is on boundaries and easements. And this one is sponsored by First American Title with lunch. So please register just for CE certificates and for lunch. But this has come up a couple times recently. That's why we picked this topic, even though it's maybe not like the most like thrilling topic. It's very important information to know for when it does come up, right? Joe, you want to share anything about?
Well, yeah, just because they say that fence is the property line doesn't mean that fence is the property line. So I've experienced this number of situations where people just simply identify boundaries by pointing at something, a rock or whatever. There's just, in this litigious society we're in now, you just have to make sure you're advising your clients that if it looks suspect or just for their own knowledge, let's get somebody to measure this boundary and do our, find our corners, our markers and things like that. Easements, things of that nature. Yeah, you don't want to get stuck in a situation like that after you're under contract. Let's make sure we do our due diligence up front so we're not battling in the back. So did you want to add anything?
Well, we were brainstorming yesterday about some of the things that we've seen in our careers. Like one that came to my mind was I walked up to a listing and there's a trellis along the fence that they had planted in front of the garage. So you couldn't see the garages of the houses, right? And they had big, beautiful shrubbery. But what I noticed and didn't think anything of it was the top of the trellis hung over into the neighbor's fence. So the trellis posts were on one side, but the top bars, which went the opposite way, went over the top of the fence. And this big, beautiful, I don't know, see, what would it have been? What are those plants called? Wisteria, thank you. That's what it was. So I didn't think a lot of it, but about 2 weeks before closing, well, I was having conversations with my listing client, and he did say the neighbor was, and he did not get along very well. About 2 weeks before closing, the neighbor called and said, hey, you need to move the trellis from my side of the fence. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, well, I've been battling that owner since he put it in, and it encroaches on my side of the fence, and it needs to be moved. So long story short, my seller wouldn't do it. They were so mad at each other, neither one of them would do it. So I had to call my own contractor to go up and trim this thing back about 18 inches so that the wood did not hang over the fence. He didn't care about the plant. And I should have, I remember seeing it, that it went over the fence, but I didn't think a lot about it. And this thing gave me real heartburn because it was right before closing. And so, the point of this is, if you want your life to be a little bit smoother, you need to really start to develop a little sense about when you think there might be a violation on something. You sell something that has 1.5 acres and it's out in the woods, and the owner says, oh, it's that tree. Those are the ones where you write in that the seller's to locate the corners prior to closing, right? So that you know exactly where it is, things like that.
And a lot of times these come up when it ends up being an E&O claim or anything, when the buyers go to sell it, 5 years later, right? And everything was fine at one point, but moving forward, it's not.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Let me add to that. You all have that instinct that you will develop that as you get more mature in the industry. I think something's off here. You'll all get it. But I think the majority of issues always start with the neighbor. They put that fence line a foot into my yard, don't you? Okay, remember, hearsay there's no value to hearsay, right? I mean, there is value, but it's not law, it's not legal. So that should be a nice trigger too. But I would say the majority of them are probably a neighbor issue.
Yeah, and I paid for many double digits fence locates because my clients wouldn't. And I wanted to make sure we closed. And so I had to have them come out, my favorite surveyor on Boonesbury, come out and locate where the fence was supposed to be. So, it's just one of those things where they always seem to happen when you don't need them to happen. You're really busy, or you really want it to close. You're tired of dealing with the people, or whatever it is. That's when they happen. So this would be a great one to go and just start familiarizing yourself with it. Because the other thing I was thinking about was, if we have to think about what our value will be in 5 years when AI starts to be able to write some pretty good purchase contracts and AI starts to be able to write some pretty good addendums, what will your value be that it can't do? This is one of them. Identifying encroachments, identifying easements, identifying all these things and helping the parties navigate through them so that it can close. AI will never be able to do that. So if you don't know, then you're minimizing your value. And that's what you have to start thinking about today is, where will you be in 5 years as a business person? If you don't know these things, you will be less important to people.
yeah, come to the class. Okay, next up. Then in a couple weeks, this was planned by our ALC Wellness Committee, Whitney and Grace. So shout out to them. And part of wellness is not having to clean your own dirty car. So sign up for the mobile car detailing. They're going to be at the Bridgeport office here the 13th and 14th, and then over at Lake Oswego on the 15th. So yeah, the pricing is very competitive and there's limited spots. So if there's a ton of need, we could even add an extra day. I don't know what it's looking like so far, but Bradley.
And outside or just
Inside.
Is it? That's pretty good.
That is really good. Whitney or Grace, do you guys want to add anything else?
You do this between now and then, you can make your car as dirty as you want.
Yeah. Have your kids poop all over it. All right, sign up for that. And then Red Day is coming up at the beginning of May.
anyone new to Keller Williams, Friday is the one day of year that every Keller Williams around the world closes its doors, and we all volunteer in the communities that we live in and that we serve in. So we are volunteering at the Oregon Food Bank. Meet there at 8:30. Our shift starts promptly at 9 and ends at 11:30, and then we're heading over to Stormbreaker Brewing, a couple miles down the road for lunch and drinks to celebrate. So technically, the registration, we did already order shirts, but if you we have a few stragglers, we might be able to place another order, but still register because there is some volunteer authorizations and things that everyone has to fill out ahead of time. So we would love to see all of you guys there. And again, it's not even the whole day, only the half a day. So and that's a great picture up there from last year. So
How many are
Registered?
registered? Nick?
We're like 5:30s right now.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We didn't register. I think we did.
Yeah, if you don't know if you registered, just ask Nick. And
And you can still come the last day and you'll be able to, after you didn't.
do have a few extra shirts. And then I just sent everyone an email this morning to mark your calendars because summer gets crazy. I know it seems like it's a while away, but as you plan your summer vacations and things like that, we'll have our annual summer picnic on Friday, July 25th from 5 to 9 at Tumwater again. And this is like your whole family, significant other. It's just fun for everyone. And we have stuff for kids so they're entertained, and it's a really good time. Prizes. Let's do one at Yeti cooler. Oh,
yeah.
and yeah, lots of food, lots of activities. If you're not into like drinking or socializing, there'll still be like lots of things to do. Sometimes people ask about like their significant other. They're like, oh, they don't really like to
You
socialize.
can
But
park cars.
we have lots of things, to do. Palm reader, tarot card reader. We're looking at well, Julie's not here. Julie, there. It's like you heard me saying. You brought us, showed us a thing of mobile putt. We might
Put that out there, so we'll see if it fits. So there'll be lots to do.
even if you're not into wine at the winery. Okay, and then right after the meeting today, we're going to start talking about AI here soon. And then Mark is going to lead a discussion right after the meeting. Mark, do you want to talk about that?
Of like putting it into action.
That's the intention, is we're gonna talk about it sort of a surface level in the meeting, and then if we want to dig in a little bit deeper on whatever extent you want, to continue the conversation after.
Cool. Awesome.
Our amazing Homefront team.
You guys are getting busy, right?
Oh yeah, definitely picking up. Hi guys, nice to see you. Just want to give you a little bit of a market update where rates are sitting. So if you're looking at like a conventional 30-year, we're looking at 7.25%. 2 points buy down will get you to 6.75. Then on the government side, so an FHA 30 is going to have you sitting at about 6.5, and with 2 points buy down, you can get to like 5.996%. The market is super volatile right now, and I think what you're going to find is that the rates are going to fluctuate more with the headlines as opposed to actual economic data. So at this point, it's kind of, up in the air a little bit. But I want to see if you guys have any questions about what's going on. Maybe I can answer them. We're also looking into possibly doing another CE class for you guys. I think next month. I won't be here, but Azure and Cass will be here. They will teach you guys something. But we want to know from you guys what you want to learn about. So is there anything that's been top of mind for anybody that we could create a CE class for you guys?
And to get your kind of wheels turning, the last CE class they talked about were the DSCR loans for like investors and.
Yep, we did DSCR loans. I think you guys did down payment assistance.
Right.
So yeah, the down payment assistance the last time. Or if anybody feels like they want like a repeat or anything else like that, please just let us know, because we're here to help you guys and serve you guys. So let us know what you need, please.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to talk about AI, but AI is a topic that we've talked about, a lot, and a lot of you guys are using, but we wanted to really dig in and just hear from some of you guys about how you're using AI for business that's outside of the basic, like writing listing descriptions or like a social media caption, right? So it's just to get a little bit next level and just hear some real world ideas. I might send you two away.
Around here.
Yeah. you-
Ouch, ouch.
Edit that out for the Zoom. recording.
You trip on the clips.
Did you catch your heel on the
okay?
thing?
Yeah, on the bottom of the. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm really embarrassed right now.
I'm okay.
Act cool. Act cool. Oh my god. Okay, I'm very embarrassed. I was trying to hurry.
Do you guys still want to come up here? Could be dangerous.
Embarrassed. Oh my god, you guys. Oh my god. Call cut off Zoom. Oh my god. Make okay. What was I even talking about? Let's talk about AI. Oh my god. Mark, come up here. Our technology, Mark is our technology chair for the ALC. And then Zach and Bradley. Actually, will you grab one more stool, please?
Just, we'll sit on the floor. It's
Maybe I should go stand over there. My God, I know. But Mark, kick everyone off and just talk a little bit about and then Zach and Bradley come on up. About look up really carefully so I can look at you. Oh my gosh. About how you guys are using AI. That's a little bit more interesting. And then, and there's a lot of different. I gotta get my head back in the game, you guys. Okay, there's a lot of different AI. What would you call them? Software, like different languages. Okay, so we want to try to be, some of the things you guys might talk about are specific, but also like we want to be almost agnostic to whatever you use, if it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Whoosy or Zach, you're going to tell us about a different one that you guys use with your team. We want to make sure it's, there's things that you could replicate with any of them. So, and you're going to show us a demo, right? On the computer?
Not here.
Not in this one. Okay. Well, let's just start with Zach from J Hub Property, because this is exciting. This is your first time up here at the panel. Tell us about what AI you guys use for your business on your team and how you use it.
It's called Area Pro. It's owned by Brivity, and they do a lot of stuff similar to Altos. It's a lot of just real estate data and information, but they also have an AI attached to it. It's, as a newer agent, like especially going to a lot of different areas, it's really helpful because you can set up specific areas. So like if you're in Wilsonville, when you ask it a question, it's only going to pull data from Wilsonville. So like if I'm going to whatever Forest Grove to do an open house at a $550,000 house, I can say like, give me a market overview for $500,000 to $600,000, and as long as I'm under that search, under that area, it'll give me a quick breakdown. It's not wildly in depth, but it'll give you like pending ratios and a few things, and it also puts it in a language that's really customer friendly. Like you could literally just read it straight off. It's not data heavy. It's specifically designed for real estate, like versus doing it like I've compared it to like ChatGPT and stuff, and it's just catered to us immediately. It also, which I didn't know it did till somewhat recently, which is kind of helpful. If you ask it for something a little too in depth that it doesn't have access to, it'll actually like tell you like what to look for in MLS. It'll say like you could go into your MLS and look up this data and compare it to this, which is surprisingly helpful. And it pulls from your MLS. So like for us, obviously we just have our MLS in there, but if you had a different MLS, you can like cross-reference them a little bit. It doesn't have a lot of historical data, but that's one of the things that will also tell you like how to look up and how to compare. It's been incredibly helpful for getting like quick overviews and like really like talking points at open houses, or if you're getting ready to do an appointment and you have your CMA set up, like specifically what's going on with like specific houses and stuff in that area, but then kind of to get a broader overview of the market in general, just in like when they ask. It's helped a lot to just make me sound more like an expert, especially like when I go out to Gresham to do an open house, which is an area I'm not familiar with at all. I can print out 3 or 4 bullet points.
So you're using a lot from market data and especially to prepare for open houses.
Yeah, the other thing it does, too is it's linked to our Brivity accounts. So if I tell it to like make a blog post or write me a cover letter or something, it automatically fills in all my information, which is helpful. Like it'll immediately put in like J Hill Property Group of Keller Williams Portland Premiers. Like they'll put in my number and everything, and we'll format it right off the bat, which time saver.
Cool. So when you tried it in ChatGPT, because it didn't pull the data directly, how did you do it on that? Did you like copy and paste the
So when I was
MLS in?
comparing the two, I just put like, so I went into like the Tualatin area and asked it like, give me a overview of the market, and I printed it out, and then I went into ChatGPT and said, give me an overview of the market in Tualatin, Oregon, and I just kind of compared the two. You can get similar answers. ChatGPT is a little bit more like even zoomed out, like it gives me like rent information and stuff like that.
Oh,
So I'm sure you could get probably even more useful answers with ChatGPT, but you'd have to cater for a little bit and kind of be a little more specific. Where with Area Pro, you just set the region and ask a general question. It's very easy to use. Yeah.
cool. Awesome. Bradley, how are you using AI, and what language do you use?
For sure. So right now, primarily I'm using Zapier and ChatGPT. Zapier, if you have, it's kind of an integration type software that allows you to create flows between applications. So you can connect to non-native applications. So for instance, like one of the ways I'm using it is I set up an inbox with different from different sources go into, and Zapier is connected natively to Gmail. So it's monitoring that inbox that all the leads are being sent to. And then ChatGPT is plugged in with Zapier to the inbox, and then it's monitoring for certain things. So like if it sees a name come through that's not in a database, it could say this name isn't in the database and import it into a CRM. So right now mine is monitoring. And then when a lead comes through Call Scaler, which is another AI type platform that's transcribing voicemails for a secondary number, it's collecting the information from the transcription and then uploading it into Follow-Up Boss, which is a CRM. So when I'm thinking about AI, I think of it as kind of organizational and documentation as one side, and then information is another side. For me, the organizational side is huge. Because essentially, if you're doing a ton of prospecting, you can have 10,000 data points and 10,000. I mean, you can take an entire market, upload all the data of every single person that you want to prospect to, and then be able to immediately know who you're connecting with by having everything cross-referenced to the data. And ChatGPT can comb through a ton of data really fast. There's other things like Airtable, which is similar to Excel. Even you can connect to anything using Zapier, which I really recommend.
Now, are all of these
AI tools that you're paying for?
Yeah, so like Zapier's $25 a month. I have the enterprise edition of ChatGPT, which is $200 a month. Call Scaler's
what do you get with like the enterprise version of ChatGPT for $200?
I don't really know. It's pretty similar to the regular one. But,
You're paying 180 more.
That sounds like a lot,
there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah,
Sam almost got me. But
Okay.
I'd say the biggest thing for me on ChatGPT is similar to Area Pro. I built out a real estate analysis GPT. So it's a separated bot from ChatGPT that has a bunch of inputs that I've already designed for it to basically, if I put an address in, it's analyzing it as a commercial real estate appraiser, and it's connected to the internet. So it can tell me, is the property already listed? What's the zoning? What's the estimated market value? What's the estimated lease rate? What kind of property is it?
Wow.
What's the traffic flow in front of the property? Just all the like things you are gonna need to dig for. It's just like the quick 5-minute version. That's ChatGPT. It's a custom model. So if you get the enterprise version, you can make custom GPTs, which it's almost like tunnel vision for ChatGPT. So it's only basically, yeah.
Do they help you build those, or you're?
You can just make it however you.
Are you building all these systems on your own, or are you having support from someone else?
We're just building about ourselves. Yeah, just with YouTube. like there's a ton of YouTube videos on Zapier and ChatGPT. I mean, there's integrations that are crazy. You could have it monitoring and selecting pretty much any information you can think of, you can find it and track it.
Whitney,
Did you use like the free chat GPT? Like, how does that compare to what you have now? So like, I use the free one and I feel like it's fine, but then you're telling me all these other things, like why is that better right now? Yeah.
So I bought the enterprise one because I think that you have to pay for it to really integrate it well through Zapier. Because when you integrate in ChatGPT, there's two main integration types. So if you're doing one that's searching the internet, at least from the way that I've been able to do it, I haven't been able to integrate that, like that GPT into it. But I can integrate the assistant model through ChatGPT. And then if it's connecting it through the API, which is like the back end of ChatGPT, and then it's charging for every search. Because what they don't want to happen is that you're just like selling compute basically, because ChatGPT is like a computer and they don't want you just selling a bunch of information. So it's a really small amount. Like you put a credit into ChatGPT when you connect it. And I put $50 on it and I've done it's probably searched like 40 leads so far because I've only had it running for a few weeks and it's cost maybe $2.40. It's like negligible, but if you're doing 20,000 searches a month, it's gonna be more.
that's cool. And then Zapier, just to add a little bit on that, like we even use that at the office, so like, because it integrates into command, so like if you get a lead on Facebook, for example, you can make it so it pops up in your command, you get a notification, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good applications for that tool. And then please, if you guys have questions as we go for any of these guys, or anyone, or anything to chime in, we'll keep the conversation going. Any other ways that you're using it? I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, just mostly was data sorting, keeping track of stuff and uploading stuff.
So you're getting information before you go meet with a client, and different things like all in an organized way.
Yeah, and really it's mostly just like, if you just want to know quick, like, is this property worth dealing with, you know, it's. Everybody gets leads where it's like, okay, this isn't even worth dealing with, you know, so it's kind of that check just to get a general idea of the property and then you can choose to do a deep dive into it. But do I trust all the information from them 100%?
Okay.
Sounds like you're also using it to be able to organize the leads that are in your inbox maybe and input them into your CRM.
Yeah, and it'll tag them too, because you can do like if or statements.
If you're doing it annually.
Exactly, yeah, so I mean, for instance, you could connect it to where a lead comes into your inbox, it goes into your CRM, it goes into your phone contacts, it goes into a Google spreadsheet, like everything at the same time, just like that.
Do you ever use it to respond to leads or?
I don't use it for that personally, because each lead to me is so valuable that I don't want to risk it. But if I'm selling like a $2.99 piece of candy or something, and you were doing 20,000 leads, I'd do that.
Good question. It's a good insight. And this is, you're speaking such a high level about some of these things that you do, and you just figured it all out, right? Like you don't come from like a tech AI background, like you
just YouTube University.
Okay, pretty cool. So if anyone is feeling overwhelmed by like, oh, that sounds very complicated. Okay, Mark, tell everyone about
AI.
So
So many different ways. Right?
yeah, I realize that the opportunities to use AI cover the entire spectrum of my business. It's phenomenal at analysis, at gathering data and drawing out content. That's great especially if you're hammering on data and just want to draw out with it without trying to design these crazy searches. Let the AI language do that for you. I've realized there's so many ways I can use it. My goal is to make myself more efficient. And it might literally be if I can save myself 20 minutes rewriting an email 7 different times because I don't like the language I'm using and I'm stumped. I don't know how to change the personality. There's times that when I've written that difficult email to a seller, I'll go drop it in, and my choice is Whoosy. I go drop it into Whoosy and say, make this sound more professional or make this sound less intimidating. And it writes back and I go, damn, that was good. I've used so many agents we see using AI for listing descriptions. Write a listing description about this house. Well, that's easy. That's free. We do that in Chat GPT. Where I'm trying to use it is I want to match that listing to the ideal buyer. So I'm teaching myself. I'm not just going to ask Whoosy to write a description for the house. I'm going to say, Whoosy, look at the neighborhood this house is in. Give me a profile about the buyers who would want to live in that neighborhood. Now write a listing description about this house that appeals to those buyers. By doing that, I'm targeting the ideal buyers, or who Whoosy thinks are the ideal buyers, because it's the North Mississippi neighborhood and they want to talk about aspects of that neighborhood versus a tigered Old Town. Very different buyers, very different profiles. And I want the description to recognize and influence and attract those buyers to that listing. That's probably the most common use for it. I push it all the way out. For me, other ways I look at, Whoosy offers a pre-listing packet that if I go into a listing, how many of you have gone to a listing and the seller says, what should I do to my house? Everybody asks, what improvements do I need to make between now and when we go on the market? One of the Whoosy components, I can walk in and snap 5 pictures and upload them, and it will come back with a written report within 2 minutes. It will literally tell me, hey, here's this picture, here's some observations, here's some recommendations, and here's a recommended budget. Now, I pay for a gal who I call a rearranger. She's a designer. She doesn't do staging, but she does rearrange. She comes in, looks at what a client has in the house and says, move this furniture over there, move the artwork there. I love her for that ability. This is a similar skill for not $350. And it can be done while I snap my pictures walking around the house the first time. And then by the time we sit down at the table, I already have that report in my inbox. That's a way that I become more efficient. I think that's kind of cool. One of the other pieces that they've done, and we're going to dig into this afterwards. How many of you have gone to a website where you get the AI chat assistant on the side that says interact with me? Most of the time we just kind of swat them away because they're annoying. Think about whether it be an open house or a perma flyer outside a house. Scan the QR code. What does it normally do? It normally brings you an electronic version of the same flyer that you're looking at. If instead you have an AI assistant that answers any question about the property, someone comes into the house, you can tell a prospective buyer, scan this QR code and ask it questions as you walk around the house. It will give you answers. What's the square footage? What's the dimensions of the bedroom? What flowers are in the backyard? For one of my listings, what fish are in the pond? And it will sit there in real time and give the answers back. It's fantastic. And I can also set it so that along the way, if it comes up with an answer that it doesn't know, it says, I don't have the answer. Would you like me to send it to you? What email shall I send it to you at? What did I just capture? And I'm doing it through engagement, not forced registration at the event. Joe.
Capture that phone number.
It can. And that I can put that agent or bot or whatever you want to call it. It's a single bit of code. I can drop it on any website that lives independent of that website, just sits on the screen. It can just show up on your phone anywhere you are. I run a weekly car show. At my booth this summer, there's going to be every week there's going to be a challenge. You answer 10 questions. Whoever answers the most 10 questions gets a free bag of coffee. All they have to do is walk up, scan the code, and they get prompted with questions. That's one of those AI bots. It's that simple. Open house. It's on a perma flyer. I have a listing out in Gaston. You may or may not have AT&T service if you're there, but if you do, scan the QR code. Yes, you can ask what fish can be caught in that pond. That's kind of cool. To me, that's something that's different.
Yeah.
Use it in an open house, again, to capture the email, the phone number, for more information.
Ask, like, when was the roof replaced?
Yes, as long as I have trained it, and the way I train it, I have the information for my seller. I have all the listing details, maybe a seller's narrative about when the roof was done, the HVAC. As long as I've given that information and I upload it into a document, a PDF, a doc, anything like that, that's a source document for that Whoosy agent to reference, and it looks it up.
So are you uploading the seller disclosure for that, or are you putting it into an Excel or something?
I don't do the disclosures. I just do information about the property. Again, what do they want there? It's not a contract that they want. They just want to know, when was the roof done?
Because you're telling Whoosy or whatever, AI tool you're using, what to search.
Correct. I'm teaching it and giving it the
Aware
source
search.
documents. I do that for those bots before I use them.
So you could do like the CCNRs.
Absolutely. If someone says, what are the CCNRs for Iron Mountain? Here you go. Here it is. So yes, it becomes that searchable assistant that's friendly and it's working while I'm busy elsewhere. That's how I become more efficient.
Does that have an additional cost to Whoosy?
Right now, Whoosy for $100 a month includes 3 of those bots. Every one you want after that is $20 a month.
3 a month.
At a time.
I think it's 20 each for the 4th, 20 for the 5th, 20 for the 6th.
So it sounds like a lot of these AI tools, you do the basic functionality with free versions, but then once you start wanting to do any of the integrations and features, there's gonna be some cost, but you just have to figure out the ROI on your time, right?
And to me, it is all about savings. I sat down about a year ago and I said, I want to make a new series of videos. I want to do 10 1-minute videos answering the most frequent questions of buyers and sellers, and then real estate transactions. I sat down and within 20 minutes in Whoosy, I had scripts for all 10 of each of those sets. I had 30 scripts written out telling me what imagery to add to that. Finished. That was a good use of Whoosy's time, much better use of my time not trying to write the script.
Right. So especially those, who are on the fence of like, gosh, do I really want to dip into AI? You're going to have to stay competitive, right? Because now it's beyond even basic usage. And that's why we had this idea for this meeting, because just talking with our ALC at one of our meetings, the way some of you guys are using like ChatGPT and the different things. Whitney was talking about
Using it for meal planning for like her family. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, right? I've seen Veronica put in a picture and say like, turn this into a post, a social media post that does, and I was like, oh, I didn't really know you could do that. Just like the more you see and hear what other people are doing, it helps you think of more uses. Yeah.
I think sooner than later too, the AI is gonna be tied into everything you do, like everything on your phone. It's gonna be just connected to your phone calls, your emails, your searches, when you're at the grocery store, when you're in the car, everything. And it'll be filling in the gaps.
It's already there. And when you do a Google search, do you realize the first results that come up are your AI assistants? It's no longer the sponsored links, they're second. But the AI summary is already there. I use Whoosy for more internet searches than I do Google. Because it doesn't just come up with landing pages and I have to complete the information. I'll say for my Toyota Sequoia, I need to go add a brake controller so I can boot a trailer. I said, Whoosy, go find the top 5 brake controllers that match the Toyota Sequoia and how are they ranked based on customer reviews. Boom. Now I know which one to go order. I didn't have to go look at Google, ask for the pages, go and look at the different websites. It just told me based on customer reviews and reliability. That's making my time more efficient, and it has nothing to do with real estate, but it's one of those language models. Yeah, it's already here. By the way, Dwight, you said AI in 5 years? No, AI tomorrow.
Yes, yeah.
Specific question about Whoosy, only because it was presented to me this way. About how you can create a environment within Whoosy that resources the things that are most important to you. So MREA or certain motivational speakers that we like, or and you can have a conversation with it, whether it's problem solving, or have you ever used it in that way? I'm very intrigued.
Yes, and what I will do is I use source documents, whether it be YouTube. One of the easiest ways to use any AI is if you don't have 45 minutes to go watch any YouTube video, download the transcript into your favorite AI model and say, summarize this. It'll give you a 2-paragraph summary in about 12 seconds. It'll take you longer to click, copy, paste the link, and you just watched that YouTube video. There's a knowledge that I probably need to take away from some. Easy and done. In a similar sense, platforms like Whoosy, in particular Whoosy, I can go in and say, I want to learn about this topic, or I want to design a marketing campaign and I want to base it upon Seth Godin's Purple Cow. And it literally, I connect the book and it will analyze what is the methodology behind Seth Godin and his purple cow analogy. And then it'll say, I want to market in this particular, I want to prospect in this neighborhood, I want to represent my niche in real estate as this. Provide me some marketing materials based on these source materials. Boom. If I want to learn how to write and prompt an AI, there's numerous YouTube videos out about there, how to learn how to write, essentially write code. I'm not going to learn how to write code, folks. That's not going to happen. This brain's already past 50 years old. So I'm going to go connect that YouTube video and maybe 3 or 4 other books and put them all together and say, Uzi, write the prompting for this for me to jump into that AI bot to produce this information, and it will bring it together. It's like doing a storyboard, like we do vision boards. It literally is the same. In Uzi, it's a platform called Sartori, and literally you just create a chat box and you start connecting all these resources and asking questions. I'm still learning how to ask questions through that, and that's what makes it powerful.
Yeah.
Is anyone using AI assistants to contact clients and customers? We use one called Gabby. I haven't used it a bunch, but especially like if you just like the first couple times you reach out and you just get ghosted, you can add them into Gabby and she will immediately like, you can kind of like customize how aggressive you want it to be. And it just starts like, it's like, hello, my name is Gabby. I'm assistant to so-and-so. And it'll like, it starts like hammering them. So like if someone's like, well, this person's not gonna answer anyway.
Yeah. Touch first.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But like, I've had a couple like, like people sign into an open house and then you text them, you call them the next week, nothing. And like say that, and she like got a response, not always good responses, but like it'll just be like it asks like pretty generic questions right away. And then if they start to answer it, like starts narrowing down like, where are you looking? What price point are you looking at? Like, are you looking to buy or looking to sell? And it's pretty interesting to watch. They're working on it. We've had a little bit of success from it, just like turning it off and getting them back into like human communication. But if nothing else, it does get a response. I mean, I'm sure that, like you said, I mean, and this might be more of a 5-year, but like, I mean, if you can have an AI do, you get 200 contacts from an event and you know that like 5 of them you actually talk to and you took an AI on 100 of them, like that saves an incredible amount of time. So it's interesting.
So there's a set. I was talking about that QR code one on my property out in Gaston. I've set some keywords in there that if they're starting to interact with that agent on their phone, it looks like they want to talk to me. They can directly contact me, and suddenly it shows up as a text message on my phone, and the person goes from interacting from the AI bots to my phone and a text message in real time. I also can go back in and read their entire chat conversation up until that point, because it's copied in, and I join the conversation and I'm out detailing my car in the driveway. That's pretty cool, because it's determined at that point that now is when a human should step in, because I can add more information to the conversation. I think it's pretty.
That's cool. And do any of you guys have any other like ways that you're using AI that you want to share specifically? I want to say, but also like I'm thinking for like marketing and different things like that. So yeah.
Still, that's great. I've learned some stuff from you guys. So I use it in very a lot of capacities in my role here. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry about it. We're gonna leave it a while. So I spent the whole weekend laying on the couch. And all these different things to see some of the creativity I did myself, everybody's really plastic.
Different
And
hair.
toy box.
Yeah.
And I get my butts out of there and fly through the sky and all this stuff. Anyway, thank you. You didn't like it? I did. Okay. But I will also, just about a minute ago, I'm looking for an inspector and a photographer for listing Cannon Beach. And I posted in a couple of areas to say, anybody have a lead on that? And it was kind of crickets. So I just went to Chat GPT and I got 3 instant in each category, gave me all their credentials, gave me a link to the phone, gave me some client reviews and website and things like that, just like that. So I got 3 leads in each of those categories for Cannon Beach. So I'll use that if I'm kind of in a jam looking for a quick resource. But then when it comes to the real estate world, I'll also take documents like, let's say there's a contingent right to purchase. You've got one in Northwest MLS, you've got one in Oregon Realtor forms, and you have the Laura form. I'll upload all those forms to Chat GPT and say, can you give me the differences of each of these forms against each other and the similarities? Because I have to be versed at all those forms. And sometimes it's very challenging because people are changing form language and things all the time. So I do that once in a while, make sure I'm on top of where those forms have gone, where they're going. And then the last thing is Chat GPT, you can personalize that you can personalize that. Go into the profile and set the tone, set your industry. Is your delivery going to be serious? It's going to be funny, jovial, whatever. But make sure you set your personality and it'll dress you into that personality. If it's a guy laying on a couch making cartoon characters of himself, then put that up there. Or if you're a professional real estate agent, my tone is professional. This is my area of expertise. It'll customize all your responses to that profile, that personality that you put into it. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Good stuff, John.
Good job, Ryan.
Soon AI will be like doing all the reviewing, Joe will just be chilling on the couch, I'm just kidding. What else are you guys doing, Matthew?
There's a deep research function that I've used a fair amount, like if I want actual data, if I'm gonna look beyond just like, hey, what is this one stat? And I did a cost of living comparison between Seattle or Portland, Seattle, LA, San Francisco, Phoenix, Boston, right? The big movers to us, so that I could share cost of living data with my clients. But I wanted to know that the information was real. So if you do a deep research, it will cite all the sources. And then I click through those links to make sure they're accurate. That's been good. And I also learned recently that I've been really concerned about privacy and what we're uploading. And so there's a function that you can click in settings, at least in ChatGPT, to not learn on your material. So you can put your material in there. So like if I'm putting up, not that anyone cares about my marketing but if there's any client information in that, you can keep it from going out into the world that people are learning on this from. So,
Matthew, is this one that you're paying for or is this free?
I pay for it. Yeah, I don't pay for the enterprise, but I pay for the second tier, and you get faster responses and you get priority. So if it's clogged down with a bunch of people doing it, you get to go to the head of the line, basically. Yeah.
And how much is that a month if you don't mind? Ish.
$20.
Okay.
It's on my credit card. It's just.
It's deep research, is that like a specific?
Yeah, you get I think I get 10 of them a month. And so I just get really, here's what we're looking for. I want you to cite sources, create graphs for me, create charts for me, and then I can export those as well. So I've done it for cost of living, house styles. I'm putting together like a housing style guide, right? What is this? Is this traditional? Is it contemporary? Is there a Tudor? Is it English style? All those questions. You can do that deep research to put all that together for you. And you get to vet it to make sure it's real, but it gets much deeper and it creates a much more comprehensive set of information beyond just the ChatGPT response.
You bring up actually one of the critical elements of AI, and it's the flow of information. And if you're a Star Wars geek and you know about the Borg, that is ChatGPT.
Star Trek.
Sorry, I'm a Star Wars guy, not a Star Trek. So,
I don't know that.
Okay, all of you, if you're going to be sending a newsletter and you've got that wonderful crafted email that comes out from Cole and you drop it into your command and you send it out, everybody gets the same newsletter. What if you had a newsletter that was personalized based on your client's experiences, their preferences, their family, your conversations, that in a perfect world, we've been putting those notes in, and your AI customizes that newsletter to them based on their interest. Instead of sending something about the Oregon Tulip Festival, maybe it sends it about a sports fishing event now at the Oregon coast. That's wonderful, because then they're going to get custom information that they are blown away that you're writing for them, when in fact it's the AI. The downside is if you put all that personal information into them in a non-secure database, it goes out. There's going to be lawsuits in the future saying, was your information given away by your realtor? Call me and find out. Okay, that's going to happen. One of the reasons I early chose Whoosy is because it is entirely firewall. Now, they are now able to start using some of these other languages inside of Whoosy, because there are some firewalled servers for ChatGPT, for Deep Source, for some of these others. And as long as they have those firewalls and not overseas, you can use those other languages. I like that I can take Whoosy and have it answer questions from a deep thought position, and then also from ChatGPT. It can bring in those different languages and give different personalities, if you will. But for me, one of my biggest criteria was, is it secure? Because if I'm going to put client information there, which I still have not done, by the way, because I'm still paranoid about it, I want to know it's secure because I don't want my information going out to the world.
Yeah.
A couple more really quick tidbits. One thing that I think the AI stuff's really valuable for is making people feel like the marketing that they're getting is individual to them. And maybe not like the actual material, but the response. Because sometimes if you send out a bunch of marketing and people call in, yeah, my property off Maine, and you're like, which Maine? There's 20 names in Oregon, and I sent it to 3,000 people. Well, what you can do is you can connect it to basically filter through like one step at a time, every single piece of data that you have in your contacts, and then search every search engine that you use to find people too. And then cross-reference it to the tax records of all the real estate in Oregon, so that you're pulling up all the real estate they own based on who they likely are, even if you don't have the contact. And I think that's going to be big in the future. And then the second thing for searching data, a lot of sites like the RMLS are like the login info, you have to log in. Well, there's ways that in Zapier, you can basically create steps where it's logging in with your credentials, and then you can even pull out one-time passcodes out of like your email inbox to put it in so that it's automatically searching non-public websites. So I think that'll be big too.
Can you pull that on CoStar too?
I haven't gotten it to work. CoStar's nasty.
Yeah.
Any final questions for anyone on our panel or any other unique uses of AI before we wrap this one? Ramona?
Well, I don't know how this was, but I thought it was really cool because I had space downtown Beaverton in that historic area and a restaurant owner wanting to go into the space. And so we were trying to get their LOI approved by the landlord and beat the time clock for the downtown Beaverton has a grant program. And so they needed very specific things. So I took pictures of the space and full demographics and dumped that in and then did like a space plan chat because the designer was like, oh, I'll get back to you in like a few weeks, you know, after this one project. So we had to like some information. So I put my old designer hat on and used chat, and we created like a floor plan, like inspirational photos, put together that, asked it to provide a high level view of like a punch list of all the items, because I've never done this before that. Sent that off to the contractor. He was licensing audit and walked the space and was able to use that for the budget. Do all that again for a presentation and created a PDF to pull out, presented it, all they got, the lease accepted, and into time clock for that grant program. And it was like, I would still be working on it if it wasn't for chat to do all that. And that was a few years.
That's such a good example. It's like using the time.
Yeah.
I love that.
I was like, wow.
That made me think about too when
Last year we have our vision board party that we always do. We make our vision board. And Bradley goes, oh, I don't need to make a vision board. I'll just use AI to make a vision board. He was kind of joking, but it made a pretty good one. Right? So, Jaya.
Also add, I have a client who disclosed on how much in Portland last month, and she uses ChatGPT for everything, and she put like her loan documents in there and said, am I getting the best rate, or is there another bank that I could be? And she went back and negotiated a better interest rate because she had put that through ChatGPT. And she also threw her inspection report into ChatGPT and said, these are the things I know I want to fix. Recommend some contractors, what order should I do it in? And got like her whole project plan of what she needed to do, and I had never thought of using it. It was amazing.
That's great. Okay, I'm gonna throw this out to everyone. So if you're debating, what about people who are debating, should I go all in on ChatGPT? Should I go all in on Gemini? Should I go all in on one of these, Whoosier, an Area Pro?
What are some reasons that you guys have chosen the language that you've chosen?
My original choice with Whoosy is because it was firewalled and it was purpose built for real estate. It's now being expanded out because the processes are the same, but because it is focused on real estate, every new product they roll out will be designed for real estate specifically. That pre-listing consultation, you're not going to use that at a shoe store. I don't think.
Bradley, Matthew, why did you guys go all in on ChatGPT?
Bradley,
Sorry, Jimmy.
Right now, using ChatGPT and the AI and Zapier and all the different things and just the whole like group of stuff that's out there is a big advantage to what we do in sales and real estate. And I think that eventually it's going to be a disadvantage not to use it. So being able to use it while it can get you a step ahead, I think is valuable.
Matthew, why did you choose ChatGPT?
It was the most common one.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it had the most YouTube, there's the most YouTube videos of not smart man, and so there was the easiest resources for me. So, but.
And that you were.
No, that's great. I have Jenny Hill set up as a firewall between my bank account and my which is very helpful. But Area Pro is great just because in some specific to real estate, like that's what it does, and that it just makes things easier, takes layers of complication out.
Right, a little bit less of the manual setup. And it's funny because I was thinking, you're going to maybe pay a premium for that, but it sounds like maybe not necessarily that like any good AI solution that you're going to take to the next level is going to be.
Yeah, and it has paid options if you don't use Brivity. And they're not crazy. I think it has like I think it has a 30, a 50, and an $80 tier.
Okay.
So it's not it's not insane by any stretch.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. So feel free to stay. Mark's going to lead the conversation.
Right. And training room 4 up at the front, the second room up there. So we'll head out there.
Okay. Thank you guys all for coming today and hope to see you lots this week.